we have our kindergarten team who will introduce themselves shortly. And we are doing a virtual orientation. We still do not know what the fall will look like for us. And so there are some options of we could be back in the building. There's also an option that we may continue distance learning. So the teachers tonight are going to share with you about what their distance learning has looked like, but they're also going to share with you what a typical day in kindergarten looks like. We are hoping that we will hear from the governor tomorrow and very shortly after, the Virginia Department of Education, to help give us some guidance as to what the next school year will look like. The kindergarten team has, what they have on the screen now is we use an app called Remind, and they are encouraging you to download this app because they can give you up-to-date information, and you sign up and you can get a text. And so as soon as we know what is going on, they can let you know. It's kindergarten is a very exciting time. It's also a very scary time for parents. Our kindergarten team is awesome, and our kindergartners blossom, and by the end of the year, you would not even recognize them. So hopefully we will be back in the building at some point next year, if not at the beginning. I'm sure you all have been reading about all the different ways it might look, and Fairfax County is looking at possibly bringing half the children back and then half on another day, so like an alternate day. I think they're all just waiting to see what happens with the COVID virus. So thank you for your patience as we navigate a situation that has never occurred before, and we are adjusting ourselves, but please know as soon as we know anything, we will let you know. So kindergarten will go ahead and start. If you have a question, please click in the little bubble down in the left-hand corner. It's not in the left-hand corner, it's right-hand corner. It's like a little talk bubble. If you have a question, you can put it there. At the end, we will answer any questions that you have. And then at the end, they'll say, if you have a question, can you raise your hand? And there is, in the middle of your screen, a person holding their hand up, and you will put it there, and they can help recognize you. And then you're welcome to turn on your video if you want, or you don't have to, and then you can turn on your mic and speak. So kindergarten, I'm going to turn it over to you to start the presentation.
Okay, welcome everyone. We're so happy to have you all here. Thank you to Miss Elliott for getting us started. As she mentioned, we use the Remind app throughout the year, and we're hoping to use it throughout the summer. You know, since we can't really like have a typical you know, orientation face-to-face, we'd love to get some FaceTime in with you and your kids over the summer, just so they can kind of start recognizing us, so the transition will be a little bit more comfortable. So if you need help with that, you can just stick around after the presentation and we'd be glad to help you. All right, so moving on, just a couple of, you can go ahead, Ms. Berg. So just a couple of housekeeping things. Ms. Elliott already mentioned, we're keeping our microphones and videos off until the very end, and you can use the raise your hand button should you have any questions. There's also that chat bubble where you can type in any lingering questions you might have. Okay, so you just heard from our principal, Laura Elliott. Mr. McGuinn is also here. He's our assistant principal, and our other assistant principal is Ellen Glazer. All right, Ms. Berg, are you ready?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I am Miss Berg, and I am currently kind of monitoring the slides and everything, so sorry about that. So I just kind of wanted to walk you through. This is our team. I have been a kindergarten teacher for 4 years and a teacher for 8 years. And I'm right here in the middle. And then this was my instructional assistant, Courtney Miller.
So Ms. Berg, The
Yeah.
picture's really small.
Yes. Let me see.
Um,
Here you
so,
go.
yeah,
I'll present
perfect.
it.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So here's me. And I am moving to a reading teacher role next year. So we have an awesome kindergarten teacher coming into my old classroom to be the next kindergarten teacher at Woodlawn. And then Miss Urbach, do you want to go next?
Oh, I think it's my turn.
Okay.
Hi. Hi, I'm Rachel Harrison. There I am, and I'm turning on my camera now. I've been at Woodlawn. I'm just finishing my 10th year, so I started my teaching career here. I love it, love the community, love the Woodlawn family, and I'm finishing up my 3rd year in kindergarten. So I'm excited to start year 11 with your kids.
And hello, I am Miss Urbach. I have been teaching in Fairfax County for 23 years. Next year will be my 24th year. I've only been teaching in Fairfax County because I really love it, and I enjoy Woodlawn Elementary so much. I've been here more than 10 years. Probably half of my time has been at Woodlawn, and previous to that, I was at Herndon Elementary and Kent Gardens Elementary. I really, really enjoy teaching kindergarten. It's one of my passions, and I'm so happy that I have a great team that we can work together and enjoy our time teaching and learning and having a great time. So Mrs. Chowdhury was my IA this year, and she will be assisting the new teacher, and I will be working with Mrs. Ramirez, who isn't pictured in the picture. So I'm excited about that as well.
Yeah, so all of us kindergarten teachers, we each have our own instructional assistants. So there will always be at least 2 teachers in the classroom with your child. And then these 2 women pictured here, this is one of our English language learner teachers. And then this as well is, and her name is Miss Ferris. And then this is Miss Flores. She is a special ed teacher. We have Miss Smolinski representing us this upcoming year for special education. We're so excited to welcome her on our team next year. Hold on, Miss Urbach. I have to make this small for a second so that I can do this.
Okay, so we are going to start off with explaining to you what a typical day in the classroom looks like. We'll also explain a little bit of information about online learning and what that has looked like this year, because we may have the opportunity to do that next year as well. So school hours begin from begin at 9:20. Students come in from the buses or from their parents' cars or walkers or whatever, and they come to the classroom directly. At the beginning of the school year, we have our IAs help assist the children to the classroom because, you know, it's a very nervous and very scary time when you don't, when you're not familiar with the school yet. So the teachers and the assistants go and help support them in finding their way to their classroom. So they unpack in the classroom, put their book bags up on the coat racks, and then they get started by having breakfast in the classroom. And that's a time where the whole school has a selection from the cafeteria that is provided to them every single day. So they eat their breakfast, then they have a little bit of explore time, and that might mean that they're doing some activities and going to the kitchen and those types of places to explore. After explore time and the news and the Pledge of Allegiance, then we begin by having a morning meeting together on the carpet. And we have a calendar activity where we look at the calendar, think about patterns that we may see on the calendar, and talk about the day. Then we have specials and lunch. And then we have some content time where we focus on science material or social studies. And then we go into our math block, and math entails a lot of hands-on learning and a lot of manipulatives. So we practice, we show our lesson, and then the students are able to work around center stations, focusing on the skills that they're practicing in math. Then we go into recess, and we have a 30-minute recess block outside where we can go outside. Not sure how that will be this coming year because of the issues that we may have outside, but we'll find out that information soon. Then we go on to language arts time. And during our language arts time, we do have some centers and stations, but we start off with a focus lesson to get our minds ready and to focus on an activity that really guides their thinking as a reader. Then we focus on some small group lessons where we may have some guided reading lessons and focus on small groups rotating through stations, focusing on language arts skills. And then we begin a writing focus lesson where we instruct and share learning activities and lessons about specific writing objectives that we're focusing on, and then we practice afterwards. So students are able to practice the skills that we're teaching them. And then at the end of the day, we have a closing circle where we get together and talk about our day and share some thoughts about what we can do in the future or in the following day. So that's a typical day in the classroom. Dismissal is at 4:05, and students sit on the carpet during that closing circle and wait for the dismissal routine. The IAs and the teachers bring students to either drop-off point for the cafeteria or wherever buses will be arriving, as well as at the front of the building for pickup, parent pickup. And then for the virtual day, we've been having a lot of fun exploring new ways of learning, especially learning online via our computers, our laptops, our iPads, and even some students are using a cell phone. So we start off with a morning meeting at the beginning of the morning. Now we've arranged our schedules based on parent availability, and so every teacher has a different schedule. But we do have a morning meeting where our whole class gets together, and it can look a little different from teacher to teacher, but we do have a greeting and some sharing time. We can have some songs and some sharing, as well as some movement activities. We may play some songs and then stand up and get our bodies moving as we get ready for the day. We may have a story. We may have a message, a morning message that's not included on that list too, but that's a fun way of getting us informed about the day ahead. Students will need to practice logging in so that they can access this morning meeting. So they'll need to practice using their username and their password that will be provided to them when they register. The teachers also have something called office hours. And during those office hours, students can come on if they need some support, if they want to visit, or if they want to talk, or if they want extra help in an activity that they may be doing. Parents may come on as well if they require some extra help or support outside of the learning sessions. And then we do also have another session that is at another time in the day where students are taught and given lessons that are focused on either reading or on math. And students come into that session and they practice the skills that we teach with the lesson. And oftentimes it's a really fun opportunity to collaborate with each other and discuss our learning with each other. So that is a virtual day. I can say that this year it's been a great opportunity for people to stay connected with each other, for the children to feel connected, continue to feel connected as a group. So it's been a fun experience.
Okay, we might be in school face to face, we might be learning online, or we might be doing a little bit of both. And how can you prepare your child for that? There's going to be a lot of changes starting school for the first time. So we came up with a list for each type of learning that we have to help your child be most successful. So to help them with this transition into kindergarten, having them practice some of those self-help skills. So cleaning themselves in the bathroom. Unfortunately, as much as we'd love to help them, if they make a mess in the bathroom, we're not able to help them clean up due to liability and legal reasons. So your child is responsible for cleaning themselves up after they use the bathroom. Having them advocate for themselves. Can they ask for help when they need it? Have them start opening some bags or some items from their lunch, like opening their chip bags or doing their juice box. Typically in a regular school day, the instructional assistant is with the class during lunchtime, but unfortunately they can't help each child at the same time. So the more independence your child develops with opening their items, the easier that transition will be for them. And then also, changing their clothes independently. Accidents happen, we understand, but as long as your child can, put their pants on, zip up their pants, button them, change their shirt by themselves, as long as they have all of those self-help skills, they'll be good to go. Let's see what else. Waiting their turn and taking turns, of course. Unfortunately, we don't have the opportunity of having our Bridge to K program, so we're going to need as much help from you all as possible. Practicing putting their belongings away, respecting adults, all adults in the school. So we're fortunate to have such a large staff, and sometimes some different staff members and teachers come in and help support and work with the children. So getting them used to seeing a lot of different faces would be really helpful to ease with that transition. Taking care of property, so they're going to have their own supplies. Do they know how to put all of their scissors and crayons away? Can they take care of them so they last for the whole year? And obviously using good manners as well. So all of those things help with that social curriculum. As long as they are able to do all of these things independently, then we can start moving into the academic portion of kindergarten. So to prepare your child for in the event that we have virtual or distance learning, it kind of came up all of a sudden this year. So the more practice they have this summer to potentially prepare for that, the better. So having them practice using a tablet, laptop, or phone, basically any device you might have already. Since they are going to be using a login and password, have them find the numbers on the keyboard. Where are the letters on the keyboard? Have them practice typing some of them. Can they find the letters in their name on the keyboard? How do they use a touchpad on a laptop? How do we put on headphones, plugging them in, unplugging them, wearing headphones for a sustained period of time? And again, like I said before, using that username and password. We were fortunate to have this platform, Blackboard Collaborate Ultra, or BBCU as we shorten it, where you just click it and there's no password needed. Unfortunately, next year we'll be moving away from that. So the sooner the kids and you can practice logging in with the username and password, the better. Also, to prepare your child for distance learning or learning online, have them listen to books online or read books online. If you go to YouTube and type in any story with the word read aloud after it, there's lots of different choices, and we're happy to give you some recommendations if you sign up for our Woodlawn Kinder Remind group. All right, so Ms. Urbach is going to tell you about how to prepare your child for math.
I have to turn my microphone on. So in order to prepare your child for math, there are several things that you can do to get ready. It is important that you practice counting, making sure that your child can count orally to at least 20. If they are making a mistake, you can correct them. However, continued practice will help support them in mastering counting to 20. It's suggested also that you start and begin to have your child count some collections of items so they can hunt around for toys in their house, Legos, those kinds of things, and start counting the collections, making sure to touch and point as they are counting. Another thing that we hope to practice during the summer is writing our numbers. Now, using a pen or a pencil or a writing tool can be a little tricky. So the more use and the more practice you have of using a writing tool will help support them in the long run. So make sure you practice writing numbers at least from 0 to 5, and then we'll continue on throughout the year expanding their writing abilities. Also, practice identifying basic shapes, and that also includes paying attention to shapes in the environment. So when you're looking at things around the neighborhood or while you're in the car, play some games like let's play I Spy Triangle, and let's look for all the triangles that we can find, and let's count and see how many we can find. That kind of activity will help support them in being able to identify attributes of shapes. Okay, and then the last thing is do some activities that involve playing with dice so that students and your children can be able to recognize those numbers on a die really, really quickly. All right, so to prepare your child for language arts, here are some things that you can do at home so they're ready to learn at school. Have them practice turning pages in books. While you are reading the book to them, have them turn the page when it's time to turn the page. Also have them practice identifying their first and their last name, and be able to write their first name, at least their first name, at the beginning of the school year. We want them to practice identifying letters. So you can see in the pictures there are a lot of different activities we do in the classroom to help students master the alphabet and identify the alphabet, as well as practice letter sounds. So you can see some things that you can do at home just by using tools like alphabet magnetic letters, or even things that you find in magazines or in books, identifying the letters that you see in those. Also, make sure that your child practices using any kinds of writing tools, pencils, crayons, markers, anything. Get them used to using the writing instrument and exploring making shapes, making zigzags, making their name fancy ways. Those are some fun activities that you can do at home. Help your child practice listening. Sometimes it's really, really hard to sit and listen to somebody read or to somebody complete an activity with you. And so by having your child practice for a period of time, listening attentively is an important skill. Also, make sure you have them practice sitting quietly while you're reading and waiting and taking turns until you're ready for a response, or you ask them a question, or if they have a question, they may practice raising their hand and then having to wait to be called on before they can ask their question. So it's just some activities that you can role play as if they're in the classroom. That's a fun way to practice and prep before kindergarten begins.
All right, so just to wrap up, here are some other helpful suggestions that we thought of over the summer. Go ahead and introduce a daily routine. I know over the summer it's pretty loosey-goosey, you know, let's play outside, let's do this and that, which is great. But as the weeks start to count down to the start of school, especially if your child has not been in school before, it's really important to make sure that they get used to a daily routine. So maybe, for example, in the morning, you know, they wake up, if they watch a show or look at books, they have breakfast, they do some independent activities, or they might play with their siblings, do blocks another time, you know, just trying to get used to doing the same thing every day, so that they know what to expect and develop some sort of predictability in that routine. Giving your child some small jobs at home to develop independence. So like I said earlier, you know, there's one teacher and one instructional assistant, but we can't do it all. We need them to develop some independence as well. So, you know, after they eat a snack, can they put their plate in the sink? Or when they come in from playing outside, do they put their flip-flops by the door? Do they hang up their jacket? That sort of thing. Talk to your children about starting school. It's going to be a big transition for them. Talking with your child about their day, purposeful talk. So moving away from just yes or no questions, but open-ended questions. So what was your favorite part about what we did today? What kind of things did you see when we were playing outside? Getting them to talk about their day and what they've been doing will help you ask them about their day once they transition to school. Reading to your child every day is really important. If you don't have a lot of books at home, checking YouTube is a really great idea. Checking out some books at the public library is really excellent also. If you sign up for our Kindergarten Remind app, we'd be happy to give you some suggestions. We have a great collection of books about starting school for the first time and some social stories to get the kids used to the idea of coming to school. Setting up an email account is very important. Our school communicates through email, teachers communicate through email and the Remind app. So as long as you are connected, you won't be left out and you'll be really up to date with the latest news. So how do we make sure that we get signed up? Make sure your child is registered. There's 2 ways to register. You can visit Woodlawn's website, or you can email our school registrar, LaTanya Allen, who's actually here today. If her email address is listed, and that is her work phone, so if you leave a voicemail, she's able to hear your message and contact you. Maria Velez speaks Spanish if you need that, but I don't believe we need that today since they'll be here tomorrow. Can you go ahead to the next slide, please? So if you go to the Woodlawn's website, you have to scroll down and then you click there where it's circled in red to 2020-2021 new student registration. As long as you click on that link, someone will contact you and you will be all set with the things that you need to register. Ms. Allen, do you need to jump in and say anything about registration?
Hi, everyone. Just reiterate what you said. Just it's very important to go on our website and definitely fill out, if you haven't registered already, and go on our website and fill out that contact fillable form, and then I will contact you directly. Because right at this time, we're not necessarily asking for documentations due to obviously the coronavirus, but I still am able to register all the children.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Allen. So now is the time where if you have any questions, you can raise your hand by using the button that the purple arrow is pointing to, or you may type it in the chat box. If there are no questions though, we have some helpful websites and apps that we can show you. So we'll just pause for a minute and see if anyone has any questions. Okay, and that's fine if you don't have any yet. You have a million ways to contact us at this point. Could we go to the next slide, please? So just to help with their digital literacy over the summer and exposing them to lots of different text and print, we collected some of these websites and apps that are really helpful. The starfall.com website and app is really great. Our kids love it. There's really no ads at all. It's very child friendly. ABC Yeah, PBS Kids, and then the apps listed at the bottom are also great. And Miss Urbach, I believe, do you know if they're free? Can't remember.
Yes, all of these apps are free and downloadable. Rivet is also available on Google, so you can access Rivet. Rivet is a great reading app that kind of engages your child in reading. So not only do they practice reading aloud, but they can also record themselves and get real-time feedback on their reading. So it's a really fun app and very helpful in practicing. You see we have one question. The question is there a program for before school? If you are wondering about SAC, CC, we can have somebody share information about that to help you out.
Miss Elliott, can you speak to that question?
Ellie?
Yeah, so Clinton, are you referring to before school care, or are you looking for academic programs?
Yes, this is Quentin. Basically, there's a conflict. My son's preschool starts at 9:15, and it's about 10 minutes away, and
Mhm.
it will be at 9:20. So there's no way my wife can be in both places at the same time. It'd be great if she could drop off Andrea like about 20 minutes early at 9 o'clock. It would give her plenty of time to drop off my son at preschool.
So there is a SAC program. We allow students to come in the building at 9:05. Prior to 9:05, we don't have supervision. And so if you want to drop her early than that, then you would look at the SAC program, SACC. And that's an application that you need to put in I think it's through Fairfax County government.
Okay.
And I think there might be on the website, or if she could drop her at 9:05, then she'll be good to go.
Yeah, we'll see how that works. But what
Yeah.
does SAC stand for?
I knew you were going to ask me that.
School age childcare.
Say that one more time. I couldn't hear that.
School age childcare.
Yeah.
School age childcare. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and they're wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right, are there any other questions about the transition to kindergarten or registration? Okay, great question. So in the event distance learning,
Yes. So we did a distribution for our families during this distance learning time. The division is buying more laptops so that we can all be one-to-one. We are currently one-to-one in grades 2 through 6. And so I am hoping that we will get some of those laptops. We know that if we have to do distance learning, they're anticipating that it may be that we start out with distance learning or we start out face-to-face, and then if the virus rears its ugly head again, then we will go back to distance learning. So what we do is we now have a system of how we distribute laptops, and you would be notified, and then we schedule an appointment time and contact you, and then you come through and pick it up.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Elliott. Are there any other questions that we could answer? I see that we already have some parents who signed up for our Woodlawn Kinder group on Remind. Woohoo! Ms. Berg, if you could put that slide back up so parents could sign up before they leave today. And if they have any other questions regarding starting kindergarten or that transition over the summer, we will contact you through that app. But if you do have any other questions about registration, you can click on the link on the Woodlawn website.
We will also be posting this recording of the virtual orientation on the website, on the front page of the website, so that you don't have to remember everything and you can come back and see the PowerPoint via Blackboard Collaborate. It does a recording, and then you can watch it at your leisure.
Okay, so I think that's it. Thank you all so much for coming. We wish we could meet with you all face to face, but I think this went pretty well, and we appreciate you taking the time to listen to our presentation. So if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, we'll see you this summer. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Hope to
Thank
see
you,
this
everybody.
summer.
We can't wait to meet your kids.
Thank you.